In my last video, I took a customer's trash and turned it into treasure by repairing a 30-year-old Briggs & Stratton engine on a Craftsman riding mower. Well, there was a story that came with the mower about how I got it for free, and I guess a few viewers think I scammed my customers out of it, because afterwards I got comments like this.
I find it interesting you didn't want to fix these sorts of projects for the customer years ago, but when you got them donated to you, then it's not an issue to fix them and sell them to others.
So I'm going to do y'all a running tally to show you how much it would cost if you had this repaired at a repair shop. Hey y'all, thanks for tuning back into Chickanic. I hope everybody's having a great week. Today I got a little weird one because it is a part 2 and I don't want to spoil it for you, but a few days ago I made a video where I worked on a 30-year-old Craftsman mower with a 30-year-old Briggs & Stratton engine, and it was quite a fun repair. If you have not seen that video yet, you might want to go back to it and watch it first before this one. I will leave a link right up above so you can check that out. So I took this beast out for a spin around my neighborhood yesterday and I did a little mudding. As you can see, it has been raining like crazy, so got a little dirty there, but it pulls hard. This transmission is still really good. Now they put Peerless transmissions on these, which was made by Tecumseh, and I swear these things will outlast roaches in an apocalypse. I mean, they're really well built transmissions. One thing I didn't have though was brakes. So we're going to address that today, plus all the underbelly, the deck issues, and see what's going on. And before I do that, though, I know I don't want to freak a bunch of you guys out working on a dirty machine, so I'll get this thing cleaned up. Now, to catch you up to speed on this 30-year-old Craftsman with a 30-year-old Briggs & Stratton engine on it, I spent a ton of time on the carburetor in the last video. I pretty much cleaned it for about an hour and a half. Now, in the real world at my repair shop, I would have never done that. I would have put a brand new carburetor on it because the carburetor is $130, but my shop labor rate is $80 an hour. So an hour and a half, 120 bucks, just doesn't make sense for me. I would have just popped on a new one. But I don't want to put that kind of money into this machine, so I put the effort into cleaning it. The next thing I did, I put a brand new starter Bendix on the starter because that is the original starter. It's 30 years old, but it still pops off like crazy and was just missing the Bendix for some reason. Next, I serviced it completely out. I changed the oil, put a spark plug in it, air filter, a brand new fuel line, inline fuel shutoff, inline fuel filter. And I gotta say, this thing is roaring like a lion. It ain't even purring like a kitten. This thing is roaring. It runs great. But now, we move on to the body, because it's got some issues. So first off, even though the transmission is still super strong, it has no brakes. So as much as you want to move, you want to stop too. So I got to address that. The clutch is sticking. I've got to push on it a couple times before it'll actually engage. So, sitting for this long a period of time, you're going to have these things locked up. Also, the deck won't engage. I don't know what's going on with that. I got to check the linkages and see if something is jammed up there. There's some pulleys that look a little scary. I'm not sure about the belts yet. I'm going to have to check those. I'm going to get underneath the deck because I know that one of the blades is loose, so either the spindle shaft or the entire spindle is blown out. Got to figure that out. So right now, we're already at a certain price point. I had a lot of people comment on my video about people giving me the mower and me not wanting to fix it until it's mine. Well, let me break it down for you how much it would cost to get it to this point if you took it to a repair shop. All right, guys, so I'm breaking this down like I'm giving you a repair ticket straight from my shop. Now, I'm calling this the money pit mower because even though it's not a money pit for me necessarily, it would be if a customer wanted to gamble on this kind of a repair. First off, regular stuff for a service. You got a spark plug, you got a fuel filter, you got an inline fuel shutoff, you got 2 feet of fuel line, you got 6 hose clamps, you got an oil change and air filter, brand new carb, because even though I cleaned the carburetor, if it was at the shop, I would not have spent an hour and a half cleaning it. I would have just thrown another carburetor on it. A starter Bendix kit and a battery, and then the fuel supply charge covers not only the fuel but also anything else we use like paper towels, gloves, etc. Labor, an hour and a half, which
We always charge less labor than we actually ever put into anything. For the service and repair is $120 since it's $80 an hour. Comes out to $380 after, you know, just rounding things. Taxes here range about 9.5%, so it'd be about $420. So already anybody bringing in a 30-year-old mower that they know nothing about is going to cringe with a $420 bill. And this was just the first video to get the engine running. Not even the rest of the mower.
So yeah, guys, it's just too big of a gamble for definitely a repair shop, but even the person that owns the machine to put that much money into something that is that old when you don't even know what else could be wrong with it. I mean, we're to that point right now, and I still have all this other work I gotta do. So let's get on it. I'm gonna remove this deck, jack it up, and see what's going on under here. Alright, show you what I'm gonna be doing here. You have a clip on each side. These are both your deck hangers for the front. So you'll just remove a clip on each side. You've got your deck hangers that each have a clip in them on each side. You'll remove both of those. Then on the back, I've got the deck engagement right here. I'm gonna release that. Then we go around to the other side. And I've got one pin right here for the deck stabilizer. I'm gonna remove it. And we should be able to get this deck out of here. Alright, so initial assessment of this deck. The shell itself is in amazing shape. The welds are still great. It looks like it never hit anything at all. Everywhere where the spindles bolt to the deck still looks perfect. Whoever had this took really good care of it, didn't let grass sit in here and rust it out. I mean, all the way around this thing, it looks beautiful. I just can't believe it is 30 years old. Now it's a little different up top here. Everything from sitting is really rusty. I mean, the deck ham kit I'm probably going to have to replace. These deck brakes, usually we replace these all the time. Now, when I had this on the mower, I told you all this spindle over here, the blade felt loose. Well, there's other issues to that. I can see here, see how that shaft is sunken down in that nut that looks like it's tightened up? And this is what it's supposed to look like. So that is probably cross-threaded right there, guys. And it wasn't put together right in the first place. Yeah, that one pretty much looks new. So yeah, it wasn't put together right. So I'm not sure yet if I'm just gonna have to change out the shaft or the whole spindle. We'll find out that soon. And then once I get these nuts off, I'll know if I have to change the pulleys out, if the splines are still okay. Now these idler pulleys here, let's see how they sound. I don't know. I'm on the fence about that one. It feels really smooth. I'm going to decide on that. We'll see. Let's pull that bracket back a little bit. Make sure it's not hitting there. But yeah, that pulley is going to have to be replaced. So yeah, we definitely know it needs some deck work. So I'm going to remove this nut on this spindle first because I want to see what's going on under here. Now it does take a 7/8, which sometimes is hard to get on there because it's a locking nut that they squish in the sides, but it will work. Hold on tight. There we go. Pulley still looks really good. The splines look great. Bonus. Got your washer. Well, it looks good on the top. I think it's just sunken down that they didn't get it all the way up. Let's look underneath and see what's going on. So yeah, when we looked at the mower the first video, I knew that this blade, it was on there good. But this one, and These look like brand new blades. Even though they're rusted, they don't look like they were used barely at all. See, this one is super loose, so I'm thinking the shaft didn't get all the way through this when they put it back together. Now, this being an older spindle, it's got it's the same size threads, but the head of the bolt is a 9/16. On the newer ones, you might find that it's a 5/8. So I'm gonna hold the blade. See what's going on here. Well, now I'm sort of at a loss. That star looks perfect. What's going on here? Let's see what we got going on over here. That one looks great too. So I figured it out, and we might have got out real lucky here. Let me tell you what they did. Let me break out my diagnose and detective skills for you. Now you can see the star on this thing. At some point they hit something with their blade because some of the tips are rolled over like that. So they definitely hit something. Now the blade will go back on here. All right. And when you put a new blade on, or you're changing your spindle out or something like that, you have a cupped washer, because then it makes everything tighten up nice and flat, and you have a bolt. But what did they have? They put extra lock washers on there, which is not good. Also, they had two different size bolts. I don't know what's up with that. All right, so I think I'm good to go on the bottom end here. The blades are still in really good shape, so the stars look good. The blades go back on fine, so I'm gonna throw some brand new blade bolts and cupped washers on and just roll with it, turn it over and see what's up with this top part of the shaft. So I'm sort of at a little bit of a loss here. I'm gonna figure it out though. This looks fine up top. How much it pokes out looks normal, but that nut is obviously lower on this shaft. So I'm gonna take this one off, check the splines, and see what's going on here. What? There's two spacer washers on here. Oh, they completely wore out this spindle shaft when it spun out. So they were shoring it up so it would hit the splines up here. But that still doesn't make sense, because this shaft is still longer than the other one because the shaft was sticking out of the nut. I'm totally confused. Yes, I don't even know what this is about. I measured this one and it's 7/8 sticking out from the bearing. This one is 1.5 inches. So they don't make an OEM one like that. I don't know if one of these is an aftermarket or something, maybe. This one is still gonna be good because the splines are fine. So I can't ship it out like this. I gotta change the shaft out. Dang it. Now, if you're in a bind, I mean, you could do that if it's your own mower and you're at your house, but when you do that and it raises that pulley up a little bit, your belt and everything gets raised up too, and then it puts everything off kilter, and this is a song and dance. Everything runs the way it does because they have everything to spec of how it's supposed to be. I wouldn't advise doing that. I'm not gonna do it though. So yeah, I'm gonna just pound it out. All you gotta do is get yourself a mallet, knock it on through, and I have a whole brand new shaft I'm gonna put in. So now that I got everything loose, this pulley is fine. This one, I don't like the sound of that, okay? But my pulleys are somewhere in here with all my other parts, and I bet that they're like way underneath there. Oh no. Oh, no way. Oh God, what? That's amazing. Okay. Yeah, I just gotta get out of here. And oh yeah, that's much nicer. Now, yesterday when I was test driving it, this thing would not move, the deck engagement. So let me show you what's going on underneath. See, now it is moving freely. Everything is good on this end of it. So we know the reason that it wasn't engaging is because of the deck. So what engages here is we got this bar, and whenever it's pushed or pulled, it engages or disengages the brake. Now, whenever you push it, this idler pulley goes back, tightens the belt, and everything starts spinning. But this thing needs to be lubed up. We're gonna lube up the whole cam, all the brakes, everything. Let me show you how hard it is to engage right now. I can't just push it, I gotta knock it back like that. Can't push it, I gotta knock it back. So unless you get the cam and the deck brakes moving properly, it's not gonna engage. Now, before you start removing all these other parts, you're probably gonna wanna stop, take a moment, and take some pictures or some video so you have something to resort back to figure out how it all goes back together. So when you remove your brakes, you're gonna notice there's a washer on the bottom of it, and it gets real rusted and it starts cutting into that. It's because it's riding on that. It also has this shoulder bolt that it rides on. You're gonna wanna get that lubed up. And then this bearing on the back end of it, it is completely corroded out. That rides back here. We wanna get that lubed up too. Now, depending on how bad your blade brake is, this one still has a little bit of life left in it, so I'm not gonna replace it, but they make entire kits for this, so if you wanna just get those, I think they're about 30 bucks. Now, you're gonna wanna take good pictures because even though I'm showing you how to put it back together on this one, it's gonna be different on some other models. So definitely get a good video. Just tear everything apart, okay? Because we're going to be cleaning all of this and lubricating the stink out of it. Now, this is your cam, this is your bushing, and this is your washer that rides underneath of it. See how nasty all of them are? They all need to be cleaned up really well. I'm gonna use my wire brush here, and then I'm just going to lube the stink out of them and put it all back together. Okay, so once you got everything cleaned up, you can start putting it back together. You're gonna wanna start with your cam first. And the first thing you're gonna wanna do is put your linkage in just to get that one out of the way. So you gotta twist it to get it in there. All right, just like that. So just set that to the side. We've got our square hole right here. So you've got a shoulder bolt that goes through that square hole, comes right up from the bottom. Then well, I'm gonna put a little bit of grease right here. All right, maybe a little more. Now, as you go along, you're just gonna wanna grease the stink out of all this, okay? Just grease. Gotta have the lube. Once we got that on, we're gonna throw some more lube. Okay, lube that up real good. We're gonna bring our cam over here. Set it just like that. We got our bushing. See the center's raised right there? It's gonna go right into this hole. Oh, no, more grease. Just grease the stink out of all that. Then we can put our nut on. All right, now let's check this out. Oh yeah, that moves much better. Next, you're gonna grab your blade brakes and we're gonna put them back on. We're not putting the springs on until last, so it's easier to put on that way. You've got these bearing bushing things on the ends. You're going to grease them up really well on both of them. You've got a washer that sits on top of your bracket. See, there's threads in this bracket on both of them that you're going to screw back into. So you're going to put a little lube there. You're going to put your washer here. You're going to put a little lube on your washer. And then once we put our brake back on, we're going to screw it down. Now, when you put this bolt back in, do not use your air tool. I mean, you can blow through this real quick, so you don't want to mess them threads up. So we're going to pick it up, make sure we got it on our shoulder here. Excellent. Okay, so the springs are the funnest part of the whole dang thing. I've already put this one on, and as you can see, it latches up underneath here. The hardest part is getting it around the bolt, pulling it over here, and getting it latched on this side. And I'm going to show you how to do it with the other side. It's exactly the same. All right, hopefully I got the camera in a good position where y'all can see this. Okay, we're going to come this way with it, get the spring over the bottom of the screw here. And over the bolt. Just like that. We're going to bring this around and it latches in the back of the bracket right here. And then this one, we've got to force over this little nub. I'm going to grab my pliers. Oop. Get a good grip on it. Just bring it on back over. Just like that. It's a piece of cake. So let's see. Yep. It returns just like that. Now I can easily put it into place. Brakes are away. Brake is away. And that's how it goes, guys. All right, guys, so I am completely done with the deck now. I have full confidence that that thing is going to purr. Next thing I'm going to do is check out these brakes because there are none. Hopefully I can just give it an adjustment, but I found something else. Something I had not noticed before, and this sort of sucks, but it is what it is. Check that out. That's a crack, guys. I think this thing was dropped in the front at some point. I noticed yesterday when I was driving it around, it was a little squiggly, but both sides are cracked. Ugh. So guess what, guys? Now we got a welding charge on that. So I am not a welder. I, dabble in it, but I'm not going to do it on this thing. I'm going to run in the house and grab Ron and have him weld it while I go pick my kid up from school.
1 day later.
So guys, it is the next day. As I was sitting there waiting for my kid to get out of school, I was flipping through the internet. I saw the news about Texas and decided I might want to just go shopping instead. So today, let's get back on it and check out these welds. And it looks like Ron did a really good job there. I am very happy with that. Got it painted up. While he was welding, he saw another issue. Now, we knew there was a braking issue, and when he got underneath here, he saw why real quick. Now we've removed the rear tires so you can see this brake system. On this rider, it has this long rod that connects to your brake pedal. And when you push your brake pedal, it pushes this rod back, which pushes this little bracket back, which pushes a brake pad into this brake disc. And it has a brake pad on the other side of the disc, and it sort of comes closed and stops the machine. But when he got underneath here, he saw this rod was super bent, and it was so bent that it was rubbing up into the frame. So yesterday, he removed this rod and straightened it out. So now, whenever you go to push the brake, you can see all the way back there, it's not hitting the frame anymore because it was rubbing right up there. So essentially what it was doing, it was getting stuck on the frame and not pushing the brake pad all the way into the brake disc. So yeah, now we have brakes. But guess what? It still is not fixed. So what I tell you guys, it's like that movie, The Money Pit, where they fix one thing on the house and the next thing breaks and then the next thing breaks. Yeah, this is the way these old mowers go. And that's why it costs a lot to take these to a shop, if they'll even repair them at all. But so now when it works, it will push this back, but this should return immediately. See, I shouldn't be able to flop it around like this. Why am I able to flop it around like that? That's because it's missing its return spring. It's totally just not there. Now Now, I'm about 100% positive that I do not have one in stock. I do not keep 30-year-old Craftsman parts that you might replace once every 5 years. So I'm going to have to order it. So if this was at a repair shop or my old repair shop, this is at a point where I'd have to put the wheel back on, drive it outside, let it sit for a few days while I wait on a part again, and then bring it back in, remove the wheel again, and put it back on. Which, guess what? Adds to more labor. Fortunately though, the rear wheel on this mower is not hard to take on and off. A lot of times you'll find one that won't come off. You have to beat it off. You have to put heat to it. Luckily, this is not that. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm at a point where I can put everything back together while I'm waiting on that part. I can put the deck back together and actually see if it mows. And I'm just going to give you a quick look down here. We've already checked the belt. It looks good. Pulleys look good. Everything under this chassis looks amazing, so we got really lucky there. One thing I do want to tell you, whenever you work on your mower and you're taking your rear tires off, I've seen this so many times because people just don't know that it's there. You have a keyway in your axle and a key that fits inside of your rim and goes into your axle that actually locks it in place and makes it move. So many times customers have come in not knowing why their mower won't move. I ask them, did you take your tire off? Yes. And that's what it is. They drop this key in the grass. You don't ever see it again. You don't even know it's supposed to be there. And then so your axle's spinning, but it's not turning your tire. And you don't even have to put it in first. You can put your whole tire on and then it'll just slide right in there. Just like that. Now before I set the deck back down there, I am going to go ahead and line the belt up everywhere where it needs to go. That way I don't have to do it while I'm down on the floor. Just like that. We got the deck back on, and as we know before, we could not engage it at all. This wouldn't move, and now super easy. So let's see how the deck runs. I'm excited about this. Okay, brake, choke. She purrs like a kitten, but I would love to show you it mowing. I'm not going to do it right now though. It is dark. It has been raining for a week. I can't mow wet grass or I'll break these belts. I do need to get that brake spring because if I do try to use the brakes too much, that rod and bracket flopping around is just going to get lodged, and it'll lodge to where the brakes are stuck on. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to move it around too much until I get that spring. So guys, let me do a cost breakdown for you to show you exactly how much this would cost at a repair shop and why they usually don't work on them. So let's go to the next day. Money Pit Mower 2.
We put on a pulley on the deck. We put a spindle shaft in. I put 2 spindle bolts, 2 spindle washers, had to weld the frame, and I have a brake spring ordered. Then completely repaired the deck by, removing everything on it, cleaning it, putting it back together and lubing it. So another hour and a half of labor comes out to $216, after tax about $236. So with the engine repair and the deck repair, it comes out to $656. And I'm telling you, 99.9% of the people out there, the customers that I had, would have freaked out if they would have showed up and to pick up their 30-year-old, gamble of a mower, and I told them it was $656. Yeah, that wasn't happening. For me to fix it, it's completely different. Somebody doesn't want to put that much money into it or gamble, because it could have still needed belts or tubes or stuff like that. It could have gotten a lot more expensive. We got really lucky with how well of shape it was in. So let's take the taxes out, because I'm not paying those, because I'm not buying it or paying for it. If I'm fixing it. So we're at $596. I can take $240 of labor off because I'm fixing it myself. Brings us to $356. The weld job, Ron did it. I can take that off. Brings us to $316. The carburetor, I cleaned myself. I can take that off. My cost on parts is probably taking about $66 away from that $186. So I'm down to $120 because I'm a repair shop. I get my parts at cost. And so at $120 is still a good, amount for me to fix it and turn around and sell it. But I don't even have that $50 brand new battery I could not put on there, because believe me, I have about 20 good batteries sitting out there that I could put on it used all day long. So I could realistically only have $70 of my money into this machine and sell it for at least $600.
So for the commenters that think I stole somebody's mower because I told them I didn't want to work on it and they just left it at my repair shop and I decided to fix it, this is the real life of repair shop. You never know what you're going to get into with these older machines. It could be a new machine that a customer brought in that they had given to them and they don't know the backstory on it and find all these cascading problems. It's really much easier when somebody brings it in and say, well, it was running and the deck broke, or it was running and it quit moving. There's all these things that help us diagnose. And if we don't know what's going on and we have to go over everything, it takes hours of labor, and it's a cascading effect of problems. Like this mower right here. A customer could have brought it in and said, just get it running. Okay, we can get it running. And after we serviced it out and put a new starter Bendix on and replaced the carburetor on it, and we call and tell you it's, over $300. Okay, you come to pick it up and it doesn't mow. The deck won't engage. Well, we wanted it to mow. Okay. Well, we can get into that too. It's got to have a spindle shaft. It's got to have the deck completely torn apart and lubed, maybe new pieces, new pulleys. Okay, we get that fixed. And then we get it moving around to find out it doesn't have any brakes. Did you want to stop? Well, let's tear it back apart and see what's going on with the brakes. So it ends up costing customers way more than they ever wanted to put into the mower in the first place. And it happens every single time. I don't tell people that I don't want to work on their stuff because I want it. I tell people that because I'm saving them the grief, the expense, the hassle. Because our shop got in over 2,000 pieces of equipment every single year. Hundreds of riders. And even with the prices that I charge, I was the cheapest shop in town and the nicest. So yeah, I'm not screwing anybody out of their equipment, and appreciate every time I had equipment gifted to me. And I would implore you to do the same. If you have something sitting around your yard that you know you're never going to touch, take it to a repair shop. They can either use it for parts or they can fix it and sell it. Same thing goes for appliances. If you got a refrigerator, a washer, a dryer, something like that, give it to a repair person. They can definitely either use it for parts or fix it and sell it. But I promise you, I would never screw anybody out of their equipment. And to be honest, we got really lucky here. If this thing needed belts, that would have been another $60. Or more pulleys at $16 a pop. And thank goodness the tires are staying aired up, because at the shop, it would have been at least $10 for each tube for the fronts and $10 labor. The back tubes are $20 and $10 labor. That adds up. So guys, thanks for tuning back into Chickanic. If you find yourself coming back over and over again in my videos, think about hitting that subscribe button. It helps out the algorithm to make my videos shown to more people, to save them time, money, and frustration in the future. Now, we just got done fixing this 30-year-old Sears Craftsman beast when they still made good mowers. If you want to see the worst mower I saw last year, check out this video right here.